What is up, Varsity Podcast fans? It is your host, Derrick and Dawson over here.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Chirping Hockey. With this episode tonight, we are going to be talking about some award finalists that the NHL is publishing, also talking about the current playoff bracket, all good things hockey. You already know what it is. Thank you for tuning in tonight to listen to Chirping Hockey with us. We really appreciate it. Remember to like and subscribe and share if you haven't already. Go check us out on TikTok, all the good stuff. But with that being said, Dawson, we are going to get into our first segment tonight, with that being the Calder Memorial Trophy. I will have a picture of it up here if I can upload it. But with that being said, the three finalists are going to be Connor Bedard, Brock Faber, and Luke Hughes. Their current stats at the end of the season, none of them made playoffs, so unfortunately their season ended after game 82. Connor Bedard finished with 68 games played, 22 goals for 39 assists, and 61 points. Brock Faber, 82 games played, 8 goals, 39 assists for 47 points. Also to note, he is a defenseman putting up those numbers. And Luke Hughes, brother of Jack Hughes, and the other one that I believe plays for Vancouver. I'm drawing a blank here real quick. He finished with 82 games played, 9 goals, 38 assists for 47 points. Another defenseman putting up those numbers. So, Dawson, I want to ask you first, since obviously one of your favorite players is on this list for Rookie of the Year, Connor Bedard. Wanted to get your opinion. What do you think about him being a finalist for the award?
I think Connor Bedard's winning it all. He's had a great season, and he he's probably the best that Chicago's ever had in a while since Patrick Kane era. And
Solid.
I think he's
I
probably
really,
gonna win it.
I really thought you were about to say like the best Chicago has ever had, like all time. I was about to say, wait a
No,
minute, bro. I was like, it's a little early to go there. I don't know about that. Definitely
maybe
the
in another next like 10 years, yeah.
I mean, potentially. I mean, it would definitely be something to see. I can say I'm at least excited to see how the rest of his career is going to play out. I definitely think, as far as right now, what I've witnessed this past season, I definitely think the kid has potential to have a good season. I'm definitely excited about him and what he's going to do. But with that being said, as well, I know one kid a lot of like fans were talking about with the NHL was Brock Faber, like what he was doing to help the Wild as a really good defenseman. Obviously, 39 assists, that's pretty good. 8 goals, I mean, you can't argue that he's a defenseman. It's not like Connor where he's a forward. Same with Luke Hughes, 9 goals. I mean, 38 assists. It's hard to argue. I think that award because it's two defensemen against a forward, so therefore, and obviously, the one that got the most hype at the beginning of the year definitely was Connor Bedard. But I definitely think, at least for his rookie year, I think he lived up to the hype. I definitely think that I think he lived up to the hype, and I definitely think he's a cornerstone and a positive point for Chicago right now. Um, I would say probably claiming it right now. My pick for rookie of the year would be Connor Bedard because he's lived up to the hype and he definitely helped Chicago win a few games there. And he is definitely going to be a cornerstone along with these other two rookies, I think, for at least right now Chicago's current rebuild. I definitely think they still got a little bit of rebuilding to do, but I definitely think Connor Bedard is going to win the rookie of the year. Is that your also final pick, I'm going to assume, even if you are a
Yes,
little
it
biased?
is.
Little bias there for Chicago. But I mean, right now, what do you think? Do you think Chicago is going to make the playoffs next year? Or do you think it's going to still
Ye-
take a little bit more rebuilding before you at least get a playoff spot? Because I know on our
It
first
depends if
episode,
we get another good draft pick, then we have maybe really high chances if we get another winger, like a left
another
wing.
win. I think I think one true position I think Chicago also needs to kind of figure out would maybe be um goalies. I definitely think you might need to draft like a solid goalie.
Yes, that is true.
I definitely think you guys need a solid goalie for sure. But I mean, what was it? Last time Chicago was in the playoffs was 2020. That was like the weird COVID year, yada yada. Hate all you want. Tampa Bay won the cup that year. Everybody had a
Trash.
chance. Go Bolts, whatever. Hate on it if you want. We also repeated as champs the next year. Go on.
Boo.
But that's old news. I can't talk about them this week, which I'm going to get to later in the show. But yeah, I would say Connor Bedard, I think, is my pick to win Rookie of the Year. Definitely two other great rookies along with him that have a chance. So I'm definitely excited to see what these kids are going to do next season to help their teams, and honestly what their team can do next year, especially Minnesota, because they were kind of on the bubble for a minute on if they were going to get into the playoffs or not. And then I think with the Devils, a lot of people agree that they were the more disappointing team this season, that like we expected them to do better than what they did, and they actually like did worse. But I don't know. I think that's just my opinion. Again, my opinion. I've stated it enough. Connor Bedard for Rookie of the Year. Dawson, Connor Bedard Rookie of the Year. Might be a little more biased there, but I think that we've both agreed on that and hit it enough before you guys get tired of us talking about it. But with that being said, Dawson, it's been great having you on the show tonight. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, I will catch you later.
See ya.
It sounds like you're about to go to bed, bud. But with that being said, we're going to move on to our next segment, and that is going to be talking about the Vezina Trophy finalists of Sergei Bobrovsky, Thatcher Demko, and Connor Hellebuck. Now, Sergei Bobrovsky, as I've hinted, later in the show, I'm going to be talking about the Tampa and Florida series. He, at least in the playoffs so far, has been pretty good. But regular season stats in 58 games played, 36 wins, 6 shutouts, 237 goals against average, and a 915 save percentage. Overall, solid season. Thatcher Demko, 51 games played, 35 wins, 5 losses, 2.45 goals against average with a 918 save percentage. Connor Hellebuck, 60 games played, 37 wins, 5 shutouts with a 239 goals against average and a 921 save percentage. And I also think I might have read those first two wrong with Bobrovsky. 6 shutouts for Bobrovsky and Thatcher Demko with 5 shutouts. Sorry if I messed that up. I don't normally pay attention to those guys as much. I always hear about them. Just haven't paid attention because near the end of the season, I was paying attention to Tampa. Go Bolts. But this is a tough one because there is definitely 3 deserving goalies. Like, I know I was hearing about Hellebuck a lot, how he was going crazy, and the Jets were winning a lot of games behind him with him between the pipes. Thatcher Demko, definitely also a very deserving goalie, really helped. Kind of, honestly, to me, Canucks came up out of nowhere this year with how good they actually were. I think they could definitely be considered the surprise team this year. At least they surprised me personally with how good they were, because I remember last year was not a very good season for them. And they had a good season this year making the playoffs. I mean, currently right now on April 30th, being up 3-1 on Nashville right now, looking like a strong team. And then Sergei Bobrovsky, April 30th, as of yesterday, sadly, they have beaten my Tampa Bay Lightning 4-1. And I could tell immediately from game one it was going to be a tough series. Just watching Bobrovsky, like, he was playing out of his mind in his net. Dude is a good goalie. As much as, like, I don't want to admit it because it's obviously our in-state rival, and everybody knows I'm a big Bolts fan. But I'll admit it. I'll give credit where credit is due. Borowski was definitely helping them in that series, making some big saves when it needed to be, and just coming in clutch when he needed to. And then obviously, also, I'm going to hint on this a bit more later, that Florida was definitely hot. Not, well, not even hot. I could just say defensively, very good defensive team. From what I watched, game one, literally keeping Tampa off the board in all stats. Just watching game one was frustrating because we had so many turnovers and just could not generate any offense and just couldn't even get a shot on goal. Like, I think the first 15 minutes of the game, I think we only had like 3 shots, and like it took us forever to even get one on net. Like, I could just tell right from the beginning of the series, I was like, this is going to be a very hard series because Florida was just very sound defensively, and then Bobrovsky would just come in clutch whenever he could. I mean, we'd have scoring chance after scoring chance. We just couldn't either put it on net or Bobrovsky was just making a big save. I mean, I don't want to go too much into that because I'm going to talk a little bit more about the series later. But honestly, I would say probably my pick for goalie of the year. Honestly, I'm probably going to go Connor Hellebuck. I mean, stat wise, overall, he has a better save percentage than Demko and Bobrovsky. Although Bobrovsky has a slightly better goals against average at 237, Hellebuck has a 239. Bobrovsky has one more shutout. He has 37 wins. Bobrovsky has 36. Demko has 35. I mean, it's tight. It's not like a clear cut like differential in stats. Like it's not as clear cut as we think it is. But yeah, I mean, I think my goalie winner of the year is going to be Connor Hellebuck. Um, yeah, Connor Hellebuck, I think, is going to be the winner. Um, I think trying to make a thought here. I'm really trying to make like an argument potentially for who I think is going to win goalie of the year, or just not even like I'm saying it, Connor Hellebuck, but I truly think like I'm trying to come up with a bit more of a debate here. But it's just like I said, it's so close. Like just I'd hate to be on this committee, man. I mean, just like it's hard to pick a winner because it's like it's going to come down to like who has helped clutch up the most for their team. You know, not including playoffs and stuff like that. Like it's a more of a regular season award. But I mean, I don't know. I think I'm going to go Connor Hellebuck, although this is a very close race, like from what I've seen at least. But let me know in the comments below who would you pick to win the goalie of the year award, or the proper name, the Vesna. But yeah, I mean, just let me know down in the comments. But we're going to move on to the next segment, which is going to be talking about the current standings of the Stanley Cup playoffs, series by series, who I think is going to move on, how I've felt about it from what I've watched. Let's just get this out the way. Going to start with Tampa Bay and Florida. I wasn't able to fully watch most of the games because I was, busy with life and stuff like that happens. But Tampa loses 4-1 in the series. Like I was stating earlier, not to beat a dead horse, but from the beginning, like I said, Florida was a very sound defensive team, was able to force a lot of turnovers on us early, and they definitely played a bit more physical than us in some games, at least the ones I was able to watch. I was able to watch games 1 and 2, and then I've just seen highlights of a few other ones, but I can't be mad at it because, like, I would say we got outplayed. It was going to be a tough series because obviously it's an in-state rival. They were the 1 seed, we were the wild card, which you know I can definitely say Tampa is not in the prime it was when we won back-to-back cups and even went to a third straight final. I wouldn't say we were necessarily rebuilding. I think at the trade deadline we definitely got some good trades, but I definitely think that I wouldn't say we're rebuilding. I think we could definitely make a playoff run next season. If one thing, Vassy would have been playing in the beginning of the year instead of dealing with that surgery, I definitely think during the playoffs he seemed uncomfortable at times. Like he just didn't seem like the prime Andre Vasilevsky was. And maybe that could be age or dealing with the injury thing or some other underlying factor that we did not know about yet, at least not right now. But I don't think we're rebuilding next year. I know the biggest talk right now is where is Steven Stamkos going to go. Right now, I'm stating I think Stamkos is going to stay in Florida, stay with Tampa because I think he truly wants to retire as a Bolt. And I'm not going to lie, if we don't make an effort to re-sign him, I am really going to be livid because it's like it's rare that you get a guy I think who wants to stay with his original team and just retire there. Like I think that's very rare. So, I mean, if he does end up leaving, wish him the best of luck. He's going to be a Bolt for life. I mean, he has so many iconic moments in his career being a Tampa Bay Lightning player. But yeah, that's that with that series. Honestly, as much as I hate to say this, good luck to Florida. You guys got some dogs, especially Bobrovsky in that game two save where he was, I believe it was game two, where he was stumbling backwards and slapped the puck with his hand. Like if you haven't seen that highlight, just look that up. It was insane. Like I don't even know if you could call it dumb luck or just skill. Honestly, you could probably call it both, but it was truly insane. Now, with that being said, the next series I want to talk about is Boston and Toronto. I have not got to watch much of it. I know as of right now, I believe that it was announced today that Austin Matthews is not playing in Game Five due to illness. That is going to be tough for the Maple Leafs. That series, I truly think Boston is going to move on. I think they're going to win the series 4-1, and I won't complain about that because I'm not a big Toronto guy. As much as I've stated before, I do not like Toronto, although I'll give them credit where credit is due, especially with Austin Matthews getting 69 goals this year. I was honestly rooting for the guy to get 70. I was like, it'd have been cool to see someone get 70, but I definitely think Boston's going to wrap the series up tonight and move on to face Florida in the second round. And then, yeah, I mean, I think Boston's just come out and dominated them flat out in the games that they've played. I mean, not to say the old joke, but I mean, come on, we all know Toronto always loses in the first round, except of course against my team last year. That was not fun to witness. But I mean, I don't know. I think Boston's just dominated that series, like physically, goal scoring, goaltending, especially the goaltending. The goaltending's been great, but just on all levels, they've dominated that series. Next one, the Rangers in Washington. I've seen some debate about this one. Rangers getting the clean sweep 4-0 on Washington. A lot of people saying that they didn't even deserve to be in there with, I think it was like, what, a negative 37 goal differential? Um, I could kind of agree. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I thought Washington would have put up a bit more of a fight, maybe even won one game. But just, it's hard to argue that the Red Wings should have been in there over them. I mean, but you don't know what. Like the Rangers are just another very good team. So who's to say the Red Wings wouldn't have got swept either? I mean, but I mean, I would look at being in the shoes of a Detroit fan. I'd be pretty mad as well, knowing that it's like these guys got in over us and they got embarrassed and got swept. Like we could have put up a fight, but who's biased to say their team to not say that their team would do better. But I think the craziest thing that I've seen from that is that Ovechkin, for the first time in his career, was held without a single point in a whole playoff series. That is wild. It's wild to see and think about because it's like, it's like it's just weird because growing up when I was first becoming an NHL fan back in like 2015, when I was looking up at like the greats like Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, like those guys were like, the superstars. And it's just kind of weird. It's like you're seeing the next generation start to take over and you're seeing your heroes kind of, get on, father time. It's hitting that, they're not going to be playing much longer. And especially Ovechkin, especially Ovi right now, trying to chase the great one, Wayne Gretzky, for that goal record. But damn, not even having a single point in a playoff series. Like I know it's the Rangers, and like I said, really good team. It's wild. But the only other thing to hint on that series is it's definitely a very physical series. I mean, especially let's say the obvious. They got Matt Rempe, is I believe how you say his last name. Sorry if I say it wrong. Um, he was being very physical in that series. I mean, say what you want about the guy. I like him. I like that more physical goon brand of hockey. I think a lot of old school hockey fans like that. I will say, obviously, to an extent, you don't want to go out there and just straight up injure guys, but kind of lay a big hit for the boys to get some momentum going. I mean, who doesn't like to see a big hit once in a while? Obviously, few controversial ones, especially against Jersey and stuff like that, but it definitely was a fun series to watch if you like hitting. But then Carolina and New York Islanders, that series is 3-1 in Carolina's favor. Um, I haven't checked much up on this series. I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, I'll be kind of quick with this one just because I have not seen much of it. I think Carolina is gonna win 3-1, or went 3-1. They're winning 3-1 right now. I think Carolina's going to win tonight and move on and play the Rangers. Carolina was pretty decent during the regular season. Not even decent. They were pretty good during the regular season. I know Tampa ran into them, I think, back in 2020's playoffs, and they put up a pretty good fight in the playoffs. I definitely think Carolina is at least going to move on to the next round. That should be a good series with the Rangers and uh, the Rangers and the Hurricanes. Sorry, I gotta get a drink real quick. Whew, all right. There we go. I muted myself. Sorry about that. I had to get a drink real quick. Yeah, but I think like I said, I haven't kept up with that series much. I haven't seen much coverage on it, and I just haven't had a chance to look at it. But yeah, I think Carolina's gonna win tonight and move on and face the Rangers in the next round. Next series to talk about, one interesting one that has definitely kind of been a back and forth: Dallas and Vegas. Now, honestly, I'm going to start off saying this. I'm honestly surprised Vegas was in the wild card spot. I mean, I know Vegas has like become the new villain of the NHL, but like this is it's honestly wild because like you don't expect your Stanley Cup champion to like be the last wild card spot that barely got in. I remember looking at that near the end of the year. I was like, is Vegas even going to get in? And then no matter what you say with the Mark Stone long term injury reserve thing, I mean, I have my opinions on it. I know it's sort of like a weird loophole, but I mean, this series has been good so far with Dallas and Vegas. Like Dallas just won the recent game to make it 2-2. Um, I'm gonna say I think if Dallas can keep the momentum, that Dallas might move on in the next round. If they can keep the momentum that they have right now, I think they can move on to the next round, or I at least think this series is gonna go 7 games. I think this is gonna be a very interesting series to see how far it goes and who is gonna like go that extra mile to win this series. I definitely think that one might go 7 games, at least six, but well, yeah, it's gonna have to go six. I would say definitely. I think it's gonna go 7 games. Who do I think is gonna move on? I think Dallas will move on if they can keep that momentum and take it to 7 games. I wouldn't mind seeing Dallas move on. Nothing against Vegas, but just I don't know. I think that's my pick, and then I think honestly, it's gonna please a lot of the NHL fan base to see Vegas get knocked out because they've become like the new villains. But I personally have nothing against them right now. But on to the next series, Colorado and Winnipeg. Colorado is up 3-1 in the series. Colorado is looking strong, especially past few games. They've been looking good. I remember like the first, I think it was game one, it was a high scoring game. It was like no defense played that night. Like it was very high scoring game. But I think Colorado's gonna maybe win that one 4-1. I could maybe see Winnipeg trying not to go down without a fight and win another one, but then Colorado might take it and win it 4-2. But I definitely think Colorado's gonna move on to that one. As I've known, they've been good. Nathan McKinnon this year was crazy good. And then when Tampa played them in the Cup final that one year, they dominated us. They were extremely good that year. Excuse me. Vegas and Nashville. Nashville is down 3-1, which I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect. I figured this series would be a little more back and forth, like Vancouver gets one, Nashville gets one. This series has been pretty entertaining. I mean, I know Vancouver lost their one starting goalie, which a lot of people were huge talking about. But I mean, I think this series, I think Vancouver might solidify it and win. Although I think next year, if Nashville can build on this momentum, especially the momentum they had near the end of the year, and um this playoff run, I definitely think Nashville can be good next year. The memorable thing I have from this series, and this is hilarious, is I seen an Instagram post where I know how Nashville has like that tradition where they throw catfish on the ice. I seen it where it was some woman pouring. alcohol into a catfish mouth and taking like a shot out of it. Wildest thing I've ever seen in a hockey game, man. That is nuts. That is a Nashville tradition with the catfish, man. Usually I'm catching a catfish, we're skinning that thing and cooking it. I am not taking shots of alcohol out of its mouth. Definitely don't condone trying to do that. That is just that seems disgusting to me. Last series I'm going to talk about Edmonton and the Kings. Edmonton is up 3-1. Again, I have not kept up with this series very much, but I think honestly, I think Edmonton's going to wrap it up. Wrap up shop and get on to the next round. Win it 4-1. Connor McDavid had another great year this year. Not very surprising. Kings, I don't know if they can pull off that 2000, what was that, 10, 11, or 12, I think, when they won the Stanley Cup. I don't think they're going to pull that off. So I think at least that next round is going to be the Oilers in Vancouver. Um, definitely excited. I'm definitely excited to see how the rest of these playoff series are going to go because now it's like you're really going to be playing like the best teams. It's not like going to be that one team that somehow moved on that nobody like expected and then like they get to the next round and just get obliterated. Like all these teams that are moving on are going to be really good teams. So it's going to be some very entertaining series coming up. I don't think I have a distinctive cup champion yet. I've had one person tell me Rangers, and I'm definitely like, I can kind of see that's a strong contender. But I mean, round two is going to be shaping up to be some amazing hockey played with some amazing teams. Like, as far as, like, I'm bummed Tampa's not moving on, but honestly, I mean, it's time. I'm not going to, like, harp on it that it's like, like, oh, we're still going to like, we're not rebuilding. Like, I'll admit, we're not rebuilding, but like, we're definitely getting that where it's like, potentially the dynasty is over from that 2020 run to, 23 ish. So, I honestly just, Tampa, I'm hoping they retain Stamkos. If not, wish him the best. But, again, I'm just very excited to see what the round two of the NHL playoffs is going to be like. I definitely think it's going to be some fun hockey to watch. But with that being said, I'm going to get ready to wrap up my show tonight with the Varsity Podcast Chirping Hockey episode 2 featuring Dawson earlier in the episode. Those are just some of our opinions. Whether you like them or not, let us know down in the comments on what you think we talked about that was good or what was bad, or if we completely made you mad with our opinion on your team. Just everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. I put it, whether it is completely crazy in sports or it's like I kind of agree with him, or if you're honestly like I hate this dude because he hates my team. Probably would be Toronto fans. I'm not gonna lie, don't fuck with you guys. But with that being said, this is your host, Derek. Thank you guys for watching the Varsity Podcast. If you haven't already, subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified when we upload videos or shorts or whatever. Like and comment. Please comment down below whether you think any of these series I predicted are going to go that way, who's going to win what awards, or whatever you guys want to talk about. We will gladly respond. Our team loves responding to comments and seeing interaction with our videos. Also, if you haven't already, check out our TikTok. We post a decent amount on there as well. Just called the Varsity Podcast. Same picture as on our YouTube channel. But with that being said, guys, I'm out. Thank you for joining me tonight.